Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking a time to get on the conference this morning. And we are here to talk about different ways to transform staffing business into making it a successful one. I think most of you guys are from a staffing business line who have joined us this morning, and you guys all know the pain points about running an operation or recruiting segment for a staffing business. And we're going to talk in detail about some of the pain points on how and what makes any staffing business getting into even a break-even or running successful or profitable business. So just a little bit of background about myself and our firm. We've been in business for close to 10 years now, and I'm the global VP for recruiting and operation. I have close to a decade of experience when it comes to recruiting and operations. And as Pragna, we started back in 2008, and we have a global presence in 3 continents, and we are basically a Seattle-based firm, and we have operations across the globe and supporting 25 plus staffing customers along with our direct business as well. We are experts in RPO services, and we always focus on delivering quality results, and our motto is customers first. So we put our customers choice first in front of us to kind of make a difference in being an integral part of their team. And I have with me Bob Larson. He is one of the elite customer of ours, and we've been working with Bob from last 3 to 4 years, and we are excited to have him on the call. So I would like to give this opportunity to give a brief introduction about himself and his firm. Over to you, Bob.
Well, my name is Bob Larson. As you can see, I've been in the industry for a little bit of time, actually coming up on 36 years. But before I started BLK, I worked elsewhere, so I've been in the staffing industry for close to 40 years. I am the former chair of the National Association of Personnel Services, which is a worldwide organization of staffing firms. We run great conventions, great learning centers, and I've been using Pragna for probably about 3.5 years or so with great success. So when Raghu asked me for a testimonial or to come on this phone call, it was my pleasure, because the more successful they are, the more successful we all can be.
Thank you. That's an incredible background and experience that you bring on the table, and we appreciate you being on one of our presenters this morning. Thank you. We'll get on with a further presentation. So we're going to talk in detail about staffing expenses, where we all spend our dollars on, and we're going to nail in detail about the actual recruiting cost, where our actual cost of making it hire goes to, and job portals and things like that. And we're going to talk a little bit about staffing concerns. A lot of staffing firms approach us with some of the problems that they come up with. So we're going to talk in detail about some of the concerns and also about Pragna's offerings. And we're going to talk in detail about a case study, and which Bob and we're gonna present together, and we'll end of the slide. We'll open up for a Q&A, and we'll talk in detail if you guys have any questions, and we're happy to answer. We'll dig in deep on the staffing expense. So as you guys could see, the majority of the dollar that any staffing firm would spend, from what I understand, is mainly on the recruiter salary and the job portals. These are the top 2, money where everybody kind of see where they're going to go in. So nowadays the job portal prices are just going up, and I don't see it going down at any point. Without having an active job portal, filling any temporary hire or a job is impossible. I mean, you can always talk a lot about doing passive recruiting, headhunting, and all of that. If you want immediate results, you still go back to your job portal I think that's the first thing any recruiter or sorcerer would do as well. And the second thing is the job postings. Although I believe LinkedIn posting is effective, but it's still expensive, and even other ones as well. And we'll talk in detail in the further slides on that theme. And infrastructure cost is another biggie where all the firms involve themselves in getting an office space and managing the infrastructure and things like that. And marketing is something that we'll talk in detail as well. So we'll dig in deep on the actual recruitment process cost. So I think, as I mentioned in my earlier slide, one of the biggest expenses is the job portals, right? So in a year, as Pragna, we nearly spend close to around 60 to 70,000 on just the job portals. DICE, for example, for a DICE login, we spend per user around 7 to 8,000. You get some discount on getting more logins, but it's still very expensive. And Monster is around 3 to 4,000, and Career Builder is around 7 to 8 grand. There are some cheaper ones. There is Indeed, which is a little cost effective, and Ladders and a few others. But if you put together a yearly average, I'm confident it's definitely going to be higher than 36,000, which we are currently quoting. And it's also the usage as well. A lot of these job portals, they comes with limited resume views and access, and they have different layers that they call it, premium access, mid-level access, and things like that. So they have different things that job portals offer, and effective usage and management of it is something all the staffing firms have a problem, and everybody can't afford all the portals either. So that's something that we all want to talk about and see what more we could do to kind of reduce that cost for sure. And the second thing that I would love to talk is, of course, the recruiter salary. This is something a lot of staffing firms, when they approach us, they cannot hire a recruiter or a sorcerer with the budget. And the average salary is, of course, around 45,000. You still have to manage their performance, and there is the health and benefits and commission that one has to pay. And I believe, Bob, you definitely have some thoughts when it comes to hiring recruiters, and you want to talk a little bit about that?
Raghu, I'm just not sure what you would like me to talk about. I have recruiters that from the candidate side, talent discovery for professionals, that in the U.S. here, where I am, of course, in the U.S. at the moment, I was paying 8,000 base salary plus some extras plus benefits and stuff. So this was a very cost-effective option within that. But I'm not sure if that answers your question, because I didn't hear it as clearly.
Sure. We're talking about the average salary per annum of a senior recruiter with 3 to 4 years of experience. That is definitely going to be. If you're looking at the base salary, it's going to be about 30,000 per annum per month, right? Per annum. So if you put together the health and all the other things, if you look at the annual salary, it's definitely going to be about 45,000 per annum if you even put together the commission and other things goes into it. And when we talk about the infrastructure cost, of course, there is a lot more that involves when it comes to infrastructure. The office space, the telephone lines, the internet, the maintenance, and managing the person, and lot of things that goes the infrastructure. And that we totally understand. Some of those are one-time investment, but it's still, if any recruiting firm wanna start or want to expand based on some of the outcomes they have, is really something that everybody want to kind of put a hat on and see what else we could do to kind of cut down some of the infrastructure cost as well. And job postings, I mean, this is again getting expensive by the day. The LinkedIn posting costs around $200 per month, and Dice is pretty expensive. It's around $500 per month, and the Monster and Career Builder is around $350 and $400, around the lines. So on an average, I mean, even if we post any job, so I do it myself at times when we have the free postings available. So we ideally get a response for 2 to 3 days or a week tops. So it's really important for a firm to see how we can cut down on some of the job posting costs and see if you can make a difference to your overall outcome of getting your firm to break even or making profits on a longer term basis. And marketing cost is something any staffing firm would invest in. It could be marketing to get more clients or marketing to get more candidates, setting up a booth or attending conferences and things like that. I mean, it's definitely effective to bring in the brand value and try to outreach to some of the clients, but definitely doesn't get same results on identifying some of the candidates for sure. So on an average, we are looking at around $76,000 as the actual recruiting cost on an average we are talking about, and depending upon the number of people for sure that one will have in an organization. Any comments, Bob, on this one?
No, I mean, when you look at the cost of all the pieces of the puzzle, as us being recruiters, that we want to give our clients, to cover the full market or give them the best sample of talent that's available within the position they're looking for. If you're going to do a good recruiting job, besides your network and social contracts, you have to cover all of these boards and all of these things to make sure you're bringing the best talent to your client's space.
Correct. Sure. Definitely. We'll move on to some of the concerns or some of the challenges staffing firm will come to us for, and I think the major problem that one would have is the manpower. I know as a staffing firm we support hiring for all the clients, but we kind of tend to forget we need to hire for ourselves too at the time of need, and hiring is always a problem. Identifying the right recruiter or a sourcer or anybody, staffing manager, it's always a problem, and the clients nowadays are very unpredictable. I was just talking to a manager last week at Microsoft, and they're on a hiring freeze. So it's about managing the manpower at the time of need, and there is always going to be a downtime when there are lesser jobs and you have recruiters, sitting at your office and doing nothing. So it's always the balance that as a staffing firm needs to strike between the jobs and the people that supporting them as well. And there could be tomorrow and a client could pick up a phone and call you and say, okay, I need to hire 100 people in a matter of 3 months. So it all comes down to producing them. Even if you have 10 or 5 recruiters currently working, they still have their current clients supporting and putting that extra time to identify the candidates. You probably will not fill all those 100 jobs. So it's more time that require, and the time that would take to identify a recruiter and bring them on board and have them learn the process is definitely going to be taking them more than a month, even if you want to hire a contractor. So those are the times when having a manpower crunch is striking that balance, and with all this unpredictability with the clients, it really gets hard for the staffing firms for sure. And the second problem that I've seen in the last 10 years is the performance concern. A lot of recruiters claim to be the best in the market. I mean, they come up with exciting references and things like that. Unless until you have somebody on the board started performing and making hires, you can't really see the value addition. So that is something that we all kind of go back and see what went wrong when we were interviewing the person and making an offer, and also bringing domain experience. As we are from staffing line, all our clients are versatile. I've seen Bob send us a healthcare job one morning, an IT, and a support, and a manufacturing through a week, and it keeps changes. So having somebody understand that domain is really critical, and switching gears is important as well. So if you bring somebody on board on an IT recruiter or IT sourcer, he or she may not do a great job on some of the other searches, because this is not a corporate recruiter job where you're just going to focus on one product and one skill set. So we definitely need somebody who has more versatilities. It could be finance or it could be accounting, to try and bring that additional skill set and value on the board. Is definitely makes a difference in making hires for the firm that you're working for sure. And again, the lack of experience is important as well. And we all the time have budget constraints when we are small to mid-sized firms to hire somebody at a certain budget and to match the experience and the quality of the person as well. So it becomes really critical to strike a balance between the person that we're going to hire and the budget and the experience level as well. Right, Bob? I mean,
if I can add something to what you just said.
Sure.
Look at after 36 years, you think I could get this right. But out of the 36 years, I've spent most of my time either overstaffed, which is costly, or understaffed, which could be even more costly. And since using your service over the past 3+ years or so, it's sort of like you're a contingent workforce to me that can help cover and keep that balance of trying to be rightly staffed for the needs from my clients. So I have to agree with you in everything you said there. You guys have helped me in a time of need. You've helped me with expertise in niches that we're not equipped to do maybe as well as we would like. And you supplied experienced recruiters who were able to bring talent to our door that we could screen for our clients. So it's a constant battle to be correctly staffed for what the need is at that moment. So I have to say that your service has really helped us with that balance big time.
Of course. And also having the performance issues as well. I'm sure with last 30 years, you always had some challenges with non-performers and, having a lot of things, being said and done on paper, but again, not presenting.
I have to say that I'm pretty good at hiring for my clients. I'm not as good as hiring for myself.
Right, I have seen that for myself too. I mean, you have always a clear idea what your client wants, but when it comes to hiring for yourself, you always kind of, make an adjustment or settle for somebody. It could be sometimes because of a budget, or it could be the timelines that you want to, fill a job for your client and things like that. So it always kind of, pushes you to make that, and you'll always be wondering, okay, how did I end up hiring this person? So, sure, tell me about it. We'll talk a little bit about the benefits of RPO services in general. Having somebody experienced sourcer or recruiter differently add value to any program, and getting to know the person and working with a dedicated person as Bob is. In the last 3 years, Bob is just working with one person. That definitely brings on more of a personal level value in terms of expectation and delivery as well. So that is something that benefits a lot of staffing firms, and Bob has been benefiting for that from the last 3-4 years right now. And as Bob talked about, having the perfect balance of upsizing or downsizing, that is really critical to making sure that the person that is working for you over there or even in offshore has enough job. So it's easier to downsize an RPO versus hiring there for a full-time. That's even harder, and even on a contract rule, you got to still wait for the term of the contract, and it kind of puts somebody in a sticky spot to make that call just because you don't have enough stuff going on. And Bob is definitely enjoying the overnight sourcing, and that is helping him out really well in terms of bringing the candidates overnight and giving some kind of 24/7 support to his clients. So there are times when Bob's in over the job in the middle of the night, 10 o'clock Eastern, in the midnight or 11, and the sorcerer comes in 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the midnight. It covers those jobs and gives those fresh candidates over 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. So his team can kind of do the reach outs. So we kind of have a success rate which is better when compared to his competitors, for sure. And of course, sure, go ahead.
Okay. If I could add to that, and have to say that this is where I tip my hat to you guys and to the model, that a lot of times, an order can come in at 4:30, 4:45 or so, and our internal staff they're checked out mentally, and they're checked out ready to go home at 5 o'clock. And we forward the job spec to you, and when we come in the morning, we have some viable profiles to screen and call that gets us a jump start on our competitors and stuff, because we are ready to hit the ground running at 9:15 in the morning, as opposed to starting the sourcing process at 9 the next morning. So I have to tip my hat that is definitely something that has helped us big time with our competitors.
Of course, thank you. And job portals, that is something really critical. As we talked about the pricing in the previous slides, spending around 30 to 40 grand per annum on various portals, it's kind of impossible for a lot of firms, small to mid-sized firms, and it's kind of critical to make sure we bring a lot of value addition to that. So we do bring a lot of active boards, close to around 8 to 10 premium paid portals to the mix. So this definitely brings variety of candidates across the board, irrespective of the industry, that definitely have an edge over your competition to identify the right candidate and give them more variety of candidate, for sure. And we do have a flat-based fee. I mean, the RPO model has, and there is no per hire charge on any of this one, at least to start with, during the pilot period. So the flat-based fee would include the sorcerer salary, the infrastructure, the job portals, and there will be an on-site project management support provided throughout to make sure the delivery is happening and SLAs are met at both the ends as well. So we're gonna quickly compare some of the costings. This is an average on a month time to fill the current position. For example, on a month, I'm confident the recruiter salary would be around $3,000 to $4,000 based on the seniority and the level of experience that you bring somebody on board. And on an average, staffing firm would spend around $3,000 on the job portals plus postings, if they have done any, and around $2,000 on the infrastructure and miscellaneous costs. And around $9,000 per month to make a hire. I mean, it could be two as well, again, depending upon the margin that you're filling the job and things like that. So, and definitely this number is higher than what I'm quoting here, for sure. But this is something that we want to mellow down and show it to you guys that this is an average and on a lower part that one would spend on a monthly basis to make a hire or two, again, depending upon the flow of the jobs that one would have at that point. So using our end-to-end recruiting service, you guys will be paying around $1,800 per month. So that is all inclusive. So that would include the recruiter salary and the infrastructure costs, the job portals, along with the project management support as well. During the pilot period, there is no per hire charge. So you're literally spending $1,800 versus $9,000. And of course, you still have to do the process of hiring and onboarding. You're probably going to spend maybe around $1,000 to $2,000 on that, but you guys still be saving around $6,000 per month just on, moving on to doing something like this. And coming to on the sourcing front, so on an average, you guys will be spending around $1,400 per month. So again, this would be inclusive of all the job portal, infrastructure, and the sorcerer salary. And again, you still need to have a recruiter to be reaching out, but you're going to eliminate that sourcing part that one would spend on the actual sourcing of the candidates, and also saving off the time of the recruiter. As Bob talked about, the recruiter comes in the morning and he or she gonna just stick onto the phone and calling the candidates. So that definitely will save more time to identify the candidates, and getting more submittals equals to more hires. Right, Bob?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I have to say that this is something that I'm embarrassed to say, but it's happened on many more than one occasion, is that your sources have come up with someone who we've been tracking in our ATS and made a match that we missed in our own ATS system. So
wow.
Sometimes you guys cover the market equally and sometimes better than we do on our own here. And especially when you come up with someone who's in our ATS that's 100% right, that we missed on our own for whatever reason.
Sure, definitely. I mean, having somebody work for you for that long and knowing the process will definitely help on doing that, and getting access to multiple portals, not just limited to one or two, will give more variety of candidates across the board to identify the right people that your recruiter could reach out, and having them done in the night definitely helps you to get that 24/7 support as well. Right. We'll talk a little bit on Pragna offerings. I know we are running out of time, so I'm going to try and wind up faster. So Pragna, of course, we bring on experienced domain-trained recruiters and sorcerers who have specifically trained on some of the dedicated things that they work on. And if somebody is working on IT, and we kind of put them on IT projects to make sure they get better at it, and similarly other domains as well. Recruiters and sorcerers are trained on direct ATS upload. They have experience with working on Bullhorn, JobDiva, SendOut, and regular the standard ATS systems. And we do provide regular training when it comes to getting certified. It could be a Sourcing Ninja certification, or it could be Boolean strings or passive sourcing. So they do keep running regular trainings and webinars to get better at their current role and getting to know the current trends as well. And we do have a proper hierarchy when it comes to the level. So for every sorcerer, there is a team lead and a floor manager and a team manager supporting, along with the on-site support for client management and handling as well. And as the sorcerers and recruiters are trained and experienced, they are very expert in doing passive and Boolean search strings, and even doing some X-ray searches on Google and trying to identify different and creative ways to identify the candidates. Currently in our offshore team, we have around 70+ recruiters and sorcerers and supporting several of our staffing firms, including Bob's. We're gonna get into our case study. So this is definitely something that we did for Bob. So when Bob approached us almost around 4 years ago, the major challenge that he had was he wanted that extra support. Maybe he needed for that time or a period, but once he kind of see the value addition, definitely helped him to continue with us for a longer time. And some of the recruiters spend more time on the job portals and less time on being on phone. So that is something I have observed myself. So even my recruiters at times, they spend a lot of time on sitting on the phone on the job portal and spending those hours identifying the right candidate, where we could rather have them on the phone, convincing the candidates, selling the job to them, and also marketing these candidates to the client as well. And of course, the variety. Who doesn't like the variety of candidates from variety of the portals? So that is something that every staffing firm would want to see. So that is something that definitely Bob wanted to see when he came to us. So we implemented overnight sourcing with the BLK, and which definitely helped reduce the internal recruiter's time on the sourcing part to minimal to no. If you have 30 to 40 candidates that your recruiter could reach out, that could easily take 4 to 5 hours of his or her day. So that is being more value addition for his team to identify the candidates. And as this is coming early in the morning, it helps him to get a leeway over his competition as well. And providing variety of portals from active and also from passive as well. I remember that VP job that we were working for Bob, and it almost took us 3 to 6 months to fill it, but it was worth it. And we found that candidate from LinkedIn that he was able to reach out and close the job. And all of these candidates will directly be uploaded to ATS system on daily basis while checking for duplicates, and the sourcer could easily update some of the resumes as well for sure. And by implementing the solution, so he was able to identify right candidate across the position and industry that he currently has, and definitely get an edge over his competition as well. And we are continuing to support him as we speak, and I am confident he has more to add to this for sure. Right. Any benefits you want to talk here, Bob?
Well, I'm looking. Look at the benefits that I've received from your firm, and that's why I'm on this phone call as a volunteer. It's been cost effective. It's been more important than just cost effective. It's helped be beneficial to my clients by bringing the best talent that the market has to offer to their front doors. It's helped our recruiters feel more successful in that you supplement their efforts along the way. And like I said, have even found candidates through your sources that were in our ATS that we have met. So I have to say the return on investment, the return to my clients has all been relatively stellar. And every time I do a conference call, not like this, but the individual ones with the offshore recruiters and with the supervisor, I always say, what can we do better? And they always say, what can you do better? And we seem to be constantly always adjusting and learning from each other. And 3 years is not a honeymoon. We're involved in a marriage that's really working at the moment with you guys.
Thank you. It would not have been possible if you have not given this opportunity to us to deliver and putting that trust, and we value that, and we appreciate the partnership, and I'm confident we're going to be serving with you guys for a long time. So we're going to end the presentation, and Alex is going to follow up with you guys to kind of reach out and appreciate the partnership, and we'll definitely continue to support you as and when we go. Thank you.